everyone, it's Tay of Shantae Plans and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be another Planner 101 video. When I created this series, I wanted to specifically create a series for new planners to break down different tips and techniques of things that you can do inside of your planner, and I thought it would be helpful for people who are new to the planner community. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm still going to be breaking down tips and techniques, but it's not specifically designed only for beginner planners, because I got a request to share some techniques on how to utilize some of the boxes and new shapes and things that we've been getting with journaling pages. And I thought it was such a fantastic idea for a video, and definitely something that I think will be helpful and isn't necessarily specific to people who are new or beginner planners, simply because this particular journaling add-on page is something that's kind of new to the planner community. So it's something that we are currently in the process of developing different tips and techniques and methods of utilizing this page and incorporating it into our planning spreads. Journaling kits are something that became very popular as an add-on to weekly kits, and they're typically comprised of two pages. One page that usually has clip art, florals, perhaps some torn paper, and then another page that has some of the fun shaped boxes, brush strokes, torn paper, and then sometimes even days of the week. And so every shop's journaling kit is formatted slightly differently, but those are some common elements that I've been seeing across multiple different shops and the things that you'll find inside of their journaling kits. And so this page in particular and some of these shapes of boxes, finding ways to incorporate those into your weekly spreads is going to be the focus of this Planning 101 class. And I wanted to go over a few other pages that come in your standard kit that are really going to be helpful in incorporating them. And I'm using the Sadie Stickers November Mystery Kit as an example for this class, and it's a fantastically formatted kit, and so it has a lot of things that you will find helpful when you're wanting to incorporate these things into your spreads. Of course, the boxes page, we're going to incorporate a lot of layering with these pieces, and this is a very common page that you will find in most of your kits, so this is going to be very standard and helpful. In her kits, she's incorporated some of the journaling elements even onto her functional page, including these torn papers. The oval shapes are really nice. We've got some more swatches and brush strokes here, and those are all going to be fun elements that we can incorporate into layering, as well as, of course, floral deco, which always amazing for layering and adding a nice detail to your spread. So I really want to just share some examples of how to incorporate some of these fun shaped boxes into a spread. And I'm going to flip to an example because I used the September mystery kit and was able to incorporate a lot of these into a spread. So I want to show you an example of what we'll be doing. So this is Sadie Stickers September mystery kit. And as you can see, I utilized the journaling page with a lot of these elements in several different places within this spread, and had a lot of fun really incorporating these into the spread. And so you have the opportunity to really add in some layering, really add a lot of depth, dimension, and visual interest to your spread by utilizing the journaling add-on page. And so let's go ahead and try out some of these techniques. Okay, so here's what we're going to be working with this class. Here's my example spread here, where we're going to be recreating some of these layering techniques. Just put down a quick base of my spread because I tend to like working with these Planner 1 classes on a mock spread to give you the full effect, because it's different than because it impacts where you place things and how you do things when you are factoring in the things that are typically around it, like your full boxes and the rest of the base of your spread. So I like having that down in my example pages when I'm doing these classes. So we're going to get started on Monday, and let's go over this first example. So the first piece that we're going to be working with is this torn page here, and this looks like just a torn piece of notebook paper where it's got the lines, it's got the holes on the side of there, and then it's got torn edges top and bottom. And because it's got all of that detail, it's one of those pieces where you really want to try to take advantage of making sure you show the torn detail on the top or the bottom, even if you can't show the full thing, because we're going to be layering items on it. You want to keep some of that at least exposed so that you're really getting a full appreciation for that box, because it's a really cool box. I'm going to scooch this over and we're going to zoom in a bit so that we can see what we're doing here. And I also want to say really quickly, in addition to the kit that I pulled out, I did go through my collection and pull out some rose gold foiled items, because the kit is foiled in rose gold. And what I was particularly looking for were foiled leaves. I tend to like to use a lot of florals from kits in my spreads, and I will layer foiled leaves and foiled foliage or foiled florals underneath the colorful florals to help add a little bit of extra dimension there. So I was pulling out different things from my collection that had leaves as well as clusters. This is one of those things that it's not necessary specifically, but I really enjoy adding cute little clusters to my spread. I find it's a really fun finishing touch and just adds a nice detail. I pulled out a flourish. This one adds, and again, just more leaves. And so those are just some elements that I'll be working with. These are things that come out and get released seasonally, so there's always going to be something that works with the different seasons. Oftentimes these are sold on Tuesdays when there are $2 Tuesday specials in the planner community, and then there are sometimes where you can get leaves and things like this in stock for different shops if you just go to their foil section on their website, and you can find all those different types of little foiled accents that are a great complement to your spreads. So that is what we're working with. Let's go ahead and pull off our torn piece here. I'm just going to go ahead and place that down. I'm lining this up. This is not the full width of the column, and you can go ahead and center this in the middle of the column if you'd like to. I'm actually going to line this up along the left-hand side of the column, and I'm doing that because I know I'm going to layer a box on top of it, and I'm going to push the box that I layer on top of it over towards the right side more, because I'm really wanting to leave as much of that torn edge exposed as possible. I also want to say, as I'm doing this, one of the things that I like to say anytime I'm sharing any sort of tip or technique, everything I'm sharing is simply a suggestion, a recommendation. There are no hard and fast rules to planning. However you decide to plan in your planner is the right way. And it's all about having fun from the moment that you're lifting a sticker off the sticker sheet to the moment you place it down in your planner. If you're enjoying that, then you're already doing this right. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of the square boxes, and I like the square boxes because, again, I'm trying to leave as much of these torn edges exposed as possible, and these are going to be shorter than the width of this box. So if I layer this on top of it, I'm sure to leave a bit of that box exposed in the background. And so that's one of the other things that I really like about these Sadie stickers kits. And I've been finding them in quite a few kits where we get boxes that don't go the full width of the column. We've got the midi size boxes, and then square boxes, and even circle boxes in so many kits these days. So that's really fantastic. And obviously I want to pick one that is not the same color as the box that I'm layering on top of. Well, I guess maybe I shouldn't say necessarily obviously, because you absolutely could, and it would just give you a tonal tone on tone look, and that actually is pretty awesome and fabulous. Or you could do something that is completely different color, and that will bring in more contrast and will help that box pop more. I really gotta say, I'm liking it both ways. Seeing it with the tone on tone is actually really kind of appealing to me. I think that looks so good. And in my original example, I went the complete opposite way. I wanted to make sure it was like a very different color, and that this box layered on top really popped off of the back of that one. But I'm kind of liking the idea of this tonal one, so I think I'm going to go ahead and give this a go. So you definitely have the option to go either way with that. And I'm placing down both of these stickers, but I have not pressed down either one. And that's because I've still got quite a bit more layering that I'd like to do. And so, as you can see in the example, I have my icon situated in this bottom corner. I feel like for my personal planning style, my approach to planning is very icon based when it comes to how I'm placing things in my day-to-day, because when I'm working within my columns, it's all about what I'm going to write in that section and where my icon is going to be placed. And that's going to dictate a lot of where the deco is going to go. So the floral placement, because I want the floral placement to enhance the icon and to sort of accent it around the icon. And so a lot of times I'm thinking about, well, where am I going to be placing my icon when I'm putting down the deco and things on my spread. And so let's go ahead and pull out an icon that we can use for this example. And that will be really great. So I can put my cute little car here. I'm going to end up covering up those garlands, which I'm okay with. If you're not okay with that, then you could obviously put your icon over here and add your florals to this side. I really want to keep those holes showing. Another alternative, if you wanted your icon placed on this side so you could keep that garland showing, would be to simply flip the background piece the other way, which it would be upside down. But if you wanted those holes to show and you wanted your icon on this side and you didn't want to cover those up, you could always flip it upside down and do it that way. So it's really up to you and what detail stands out the most to you when you're looking at the shape and what you find yourself really drawn to visually. And that can help you determine what's the best placement for the boxes that you're putting down and where you decide to place your deco. For me, I'm okay actually covering up this garland, and if I really wanted it back, I've got some similar garland stickers I can just add on top of it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and cover that up and add some florals on top of it and really cover it up. So I'm going to layer some florals behind my cute little car here. Oh, I like that quite a bit. I feel like this needs just a little bit more placement here. I'm going to tuck one more little floral there and also add a cute little foiled leaf coming out that way. I like that a lot. Once I've got that down and I'm liking the placement, that's when I go ahead and press down. And then I'm going to come in with a cluster sticker. Some cute little clusters on here. Let's just grab one of these and do I want that there? I kind of do. I want it there, there. Oh, the joy of cluster placement. I like it there. Okay. Really simple, very fun. We've got our cute torn shape in the background. We've got our box that's whited out in the center, making it really easy to write inside of there what we're going to be writing for this section. Our icon is placed and we've added some floral deco around it as well as foiled accents. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on. This is a personal preference. What I'm about to do next is just place down a cute little foil divider. It's just one of those things that I like to do in my spreads. This helps break up my space as we move on to our next thought. Let's go ahead and try it and incorporate in this example here that's got the washi tape and the oval shape. I love oval shaped boxes. I think they're just so pretty and a lot of fun to work with. Which color? Oh, okay, let's take a look at what the washi tape looks like and that'll tell me which color I should choose. So we've got this grid washi here. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull that off. And this is going to be very similar layering to what we've done with this first one, just with different shapes. And when I say very similar layering, what I mean is that I'm placing this sort of off center, off to the corner. So when in looking at the way these two shapes are relating to each other, they're sort of being placed at a diagonal, right? So the top corner of this box is diagonal to the top corner of that box. Same, and so it sits just sort of off-centered at a lower diagonal from it. And that's the same placement that I have with this oval on top of this washi. Neither of them has a true harsh corner, because this one is of course rounded and that one's got a torn edge. But if there were an actual sharp edge, they're both sitting right at a diagonal, sort of offset from the other. What I'm going to do actually, I'm going to play around with this one and just offset it in the other direction, just to show you that it works both ways. So we've got our cute little washi tape, and so instead of lining it up to the left, I just lined it up to the right and went ahead and placed that down. And one of the reasons I like doing that is when I'm working in my planner, I like to alternate from one side to the other visually with what I'm doing as I work my way down the column. And again, it's another reason why I really enjoy doing this in sort of a mock spread, because those are the little details that influence placements and scale, and what I decide to place where is, it's all as I'm also taking into consideration what's happening around it. And so because I already have this happening that way, where the eye is being drawn in a diagonal going down from the left to the right, having this one draw the eye in a diagonal from the right to the left is going to be more visually dynamic than having them repeat going in the same direction. And so what I then want to do is make sure this side is lining up with the left side of the column, because again, we've got that top corner here and the top corner of this box are being offset at a diagonal, and we're just layering that right on top. This already has florals on it, and for me, because of the way that I like to layer, if this oval didn't have florals on it, I would place florals in this top corner so that it was layered on top of the where it meets the grid washi. And because it already has that on there, that's the direction that I want to place those florals. You could also place the florals on this side, and it's a different visual effect, no less effective. They're both really great and a perfect way to do this. But for my personal preference, I would have placed my florals in that top corner had they not been there. So since they're already there, I'm going to take advantage of that and use that side as my layering piece with the washi. And I may even tuck a tiny little foiled little berry leaf right underneath there. It's a little foiled accent behind those colorful florals. So cute. All right, I'm liking that. And again, of course, we just want to go ahead and place our icon. And like I said, I like to alternate placement of my icons as I'm working my way down the column in my spreads. And so rather than place it lined up right underneath it, I have it offset to the other side. And it just creates a really nice accent layered behind that oval. You still, of course, have place to write whatever you need to write here, which is a phone icon, so you can write who you're calling or speaking with. And this is just such cute layering. If you wanted to get really fancy, you could actually layer some florals behind that grid washi tape, which would look super cute too. And so I'm just like looking at this and going, ooh, so much potential to have fun there. Okay. Okay, so we've got the space here and here to continue working within this column. And one of the other things I tend to do when I'm working my way down the column is I like to alternate from working with boxes to writing directly on the page, back to box. Well, I actually did 2 boxes here. So it's not like, so it's totally fine to like stack boxes on top of each other. I don't mind doing that, but I do like having some sort of space within my columns where I do actually get a chance to write on the page. And I'm saying that because what I'm going to do here is actually just add in a little bit of floral deco and then move down to right underneath that box. And I'm doing that because I like a little bit of that spacing and type of placement when I'm working within my spreads. That type of planning is referred to as white space planning. And it's the way I've been planning since I started planning. So it's something I'm just pretty used to at this point. I find it's a way of giving my spreads really good balance and and I always end up liking the way the spreads come out. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of florals on the side of there. I can drop an icon right over here and then still have space in here to write whatever it is I need to write. Alternatively, I could have used a quarter box in this space and just place that down because I had enough room there to pull in a quarter box. But since I've got a box here and then another box right on top of it, I very likely would have utilized the white space and just written directly on my planner, because I feel like it's one of those things that helps give really good balance. And then I want to move down to this space that I have here underneath the full box, which this is enough room down here to go ahead and put a half box. So we've got that much room going on down there. But since we're playing around with these fun layering shapes, I definitely don't want to use a half box, because as you can see, the half box is filling up kind of all of that space. And I want to be able to take advantage of playing around with these fun layering shapes. And if I pull in some of my midi boxes, I can pull in a layering shape and be able to decorate around it where we can still see all of the fun detail. So let's move on to our next example, which incorporates a brush stroke and one of the midi boxes. So I want to take, let's see, this fun midi box here. Let's just simply square it off, and I love this chic, simple design of that. White it out in the center, making it really easy to write on. And then we have lots of fun brush stroke shapes up top here. And I love the fact that this one has this foil detail on it. I just think that's really cool. So definitely want to take that one. And I'm going to place that down here. And we've got this really cool torn edge on the side here. And again, I'm sort of lining this up with one side to the other. What I found in utilizing these types of shapes, because of the way that I'm doing this particular layering, it's best if I push one of the layering shapes off to one side or the other, which we could definitely go back to this side, but that's the great thing about having this big box in between what's happening at the top and what's happening at the bottom. I can totally just choose to line this up here, and they're not close enough that it feels weird, or it feels too repetitive right underneath it, because it's not right underneath it. So I am going to go ahead and go to this side with that edge, and then you can come all the way to the edge over here if you'd like, but I actually want to push this a little bit more towards the middle, and then we're getting more of that true midi box effect, where we're getting the white space around our box and taking advantage of the fact that it doesn't go the full width of the column. And again, I just want to place that down but not press it down. And I'm also going to pull in some floral layering right behind our cute little box. So right behind, there are two places I feel like florals could very naturally go, behind the top of the box and to the side, in either direction actually. But I like this floral. It's really small and quite thin. And if I slice this in half the long way, going from the longest point to the longest point on this floral design, I get a nice thin floral deco piece that I could tuck behind the top here. And it's going to look super cute. Give me a little bit of added floral. I'm still not covering up my full brush stroke, so I've got a little bit of that foil peeking out, which is adorable. And then let's pop a cute little foiled leaf right behind there. Too cute. Okay. Drop our cute little icon down in this bottom corner here. We're still getting to see the torn edge plus the brushstroke foil detail. We've got our florals, the leaf, our icon, space to write in the center, and this is layering done. So this is looking good so far, and we've been able to incorporate a lot of those different journaling elements, and hopefully you guys are feeling like, wow, this is super simple and definitely something that's easy and fun and I can incorporate into my spreads quite easily, because you absolutely can. This is a lot of fun to work with, and I feel like utilizing this technique is a very easy way to incorporate it into what we're already comfortable doing, utilizing these boxes that are whited out in the center and easy for us to write on. And in saying that, I want to point out that we don't necessarily need to use these as only background images. They can be the primary image that you decide to write on. Now, making that decision is going to be based off of how darkly colored it is, if it's going to be too hard to read, or if there's a really strong print on it, right? So, for example, we've got this adorable Post-it note style box here. Well, this wouldn't be a great one to try to write on because it would be really difficult to see what you've written on top of that print. And then we've got this one that looks like notebook paper. It's got cute little white lines on it and is a very pretty light blushy pink color. And that's going to be really easy to write on, particularly if you're using a black pen, because you're going to be able to see exactly what you've written on there, and it's not going to have too much to contend with. There are also a lot of really great little small white boxes that you can layer on tops of these types of stickers if you prefer having the whited out center to give you that option as well. But I'm going to go ahead and recreate what I've done here and show you how I made this layering example here. And that was to take this styled box, which is the layered notebook paper, and then it's got the cute clip art in the corner. And then I'm going to take one of these scalloped square boxes from the kit. We've got two options here. We've got the pink on pink, which would be tonal and super adorable, but I really want this rich, deeper raspberry toned one because I think that's going to pop underneath here beautifully. So I want to place this one down first, and I'm going to the middle of the column, again keeping closer to the left side than I am to the right. So as you can see, even though I'm heading towards the center of the column, I'm giving a lot less room on this side than I am on this one when I'm placing this down. And I want to make sure I come down far enough because this one's going to sit up higher. So again, I'm going to place it down, not press it down, in case I do need to move or adjust it in any way. And if I want to do any additional layering underneath it, that gives me that option. And then I can take my tweezers and hold this one over it, and I'm getting a good idea of where I want this placed. And so then it's just about how much of the white space in the center do I want showing, and how much do I want it to just be the sort of lace trim peeking out from behind it. And there's a cute little outline of a line on the inside of this box that's adorable too, so I kind of want to show off that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and place this down. That allows the lace border to show, as well as that inner line detail border to show on that page, because I just think it looks very pretty. I'm going to take this floral here, tuck that in this top corner. Beautiful. Grab one of these. This is the mini leaves flourish. I just think that is so stinking pretty. Add a little bit of foil detail to the side there, and I'm gonna accent that floral with a little bit of foil. That top corner, super, super cute. Awesome. This is an interesting one for me because, again, as you can see, I allowed the clip art to be my quote-unquote icon in this instance, and I decided not to try to add another icon to this. I just allowed the clip art to be the image that was there. And if you really like the clip art that's attached to that box and it works for you, or sometimes the clip art is close enough to what it is you're trying to mark, or it doesn't necessarily have to be. And so for me, I'm someone who, I really like clip art from the kits. And so even if it doesn't match what I'm writing inside the box, if it's cute little clip art, I'm totally fine with it being there and don't feel the need to try to add an icon on top of it. because that absolutely would be the best place to place the icon, because if I put it over here, then I'm covering up all of that beautiful border that I really wanted to show, because that's helping to accent this super cute little layered box that we have on top of it. And so this is fantastic because it's just sort of utilizing this technique in reverse, whereas with this one, we had the journaling piece as the background and the standard square box as our foreground that we were going to write on. And with this one, we decided to use the journaling piece as our writing placement and use the traditional square boxes as the background element, which is really great to see that it works both ways. And it just comes down to what you're liking about the journaling pieces, how it's fitting in with the spread that you're doing, and to see if it's something that is going to be light enough for you to write on. And that's going to vary depending on the color of the kit that you're using. So next, we're going to try one with this cute little notebook. Pick this up really quickly, pop down just a cute little foil divider here. I like that. I think it's just a fun way to separate out what's happening up here from what I'm about to place right underneath it. And again, I'm going back to utilizing the journaling element as our background piece and layering piece. And so we've got another one of those notebook styled journaling elements. It's got the cute little paper clip and the torn edge going down the bottom. And so that is definitely why I really wanted this one placed as close to this right edge as possible, because when I layer the box over it, I want as much of this torn corner at the bottom showing as possible, so that we get the effect of that. And so I'm going to take another one of these square midi boxes. And for me personally, I find that the simple squared boxes are a really fantastic complement to the journaling elements, because they're already doing so much with having the torn edges, having all of the detail of the lines, the paper clip, the punch holes, and to have just a very clean, simple box layered on top of it allows you to have something that's not visually competing with what's layered behind it. And that's not to say that the scallop boxes would be a bad fit or a bad option. But to me, I don't feel like visually that's my personal preference or the best complement to it, because I feel like you have this box that's got the lace, it's got the garland foil detail on it, and I feel like it's competing with what's happening behind it, rather than when you have just the clean, simple box. And visually, it just allows you to appreciate all of the detail that's happening behind it, because there's not so much happening with this one on top that it's competing with the layering shape that you have right behind it. And so that is why I would choose the simple squared one over the box with the cute lace detail. And so again, really fun layering technique. How you decide to place your icon for this one, totally up to you. I feel like it could definitely work on both sides, depending on the size of your icon, whatever it is that you're marking there. And you can place your icon in the bottom corner here. You could do it a little bit up top. I kind of don't want it at the same height as the background image, because then it feels like it boxes off this area. So I would probably place it either in this corner here or even here, right where the two items meet. And I like this icon because, again, it doesn't cover up too much of that torn edge that's still showing. If I place it here, I still get a chance to see that torn edge. I'm still getting all of the detail of what's happening behind it, and I'm hitting right at where those two items meet. You could also, of course, add florals around that. There's so many cute little tiny florals on here, and you could totally tuck one in and it would be adorable. Let's lift up my icon just a bit there. Tuck a cute little floral right behind there. Add a little bit of a cluster. So cute. And that just looks adorable. Love that. Layered beautifully. Still have plenty of space to write. inside of my box and mark down what I need to place there. That is coming together super, super cute. All right. For the next example, we're not doing any layering at all. We're just taking it right off of the sticker sheet and adding it to the spread. This one is a very, very simple way to incorporate it into your spread. And again, because this box is on a light enough pink for me, this is something I would write directly on. Again, because this doesn't go full width of the column and I'm not trying to layer anything around it, I want to take advantage of that and center that right in this section so that I've got even spacing on both sides, and I'm just placing that down right in the center. And you can totally add any sort of like foiled embellishments that you want behind the box, which I think is fun to tuck into the top corner and give that a little bit of a flourish. So let's see, what do we want to place up here? Put a cute little foiled leaf up here. That is really pretty, and I actually think I could add in a cute little colorful flower. Probably not that color because that blends in just a bit too much. Let's try deeper burgundy florals. Just tuck that right in next to it. Oh, that's lovely. And don't know why I decided to add this flourish here. I just think it's cute and adds a little bit of foiled detail down at the bottom here. So just decorating around that, and then I would just write right on top of it. Super cute and easy way to incorporate one of those stickers into the spread. And this one's got such fantastic layering detail with the grid paper clipped to the paper right behind it. Absolutely adorable. Love the look of that. And that adds a lot of fun visual interest to the page all by itself. Whereas you could of course, add whatever accents you want around it. I added just the floral. You may have decided that you wanted to add maybe a trim going all the way across the top, a cute foil trim. So this is an example of a foil trim sticker. So you could do that going all the way across the top of that box if you wanted, or even if you wanted to place it on the side. Totally up to you. And that's the fun thing when you have boxes like this, where it's not so much where you're doing a lot of layering, but then it just becomes about how you decide to decorate and accent around it with your foil elements. You can totally have a lot of fun with that. So let's move on to our next example, which is something totally different than the way that I'd been utilizing these stickers. And these are something that I've had in my collection for quite some time and hadn't decided to use stickers this way before. And so I played around with this and really loved the outcome of it. So I'm super excited to share this one. And it's this brushstroke shaped circle here. And I love this because it's not a smooth edged circle. We've got a nice circle shape here, but it's very organic and not at all more of a geometric type shape. And so what I want to do is just layer that right on top of this very geometric square. I love the combination of those two things because anytime you have geometric shapes and things that are like really blocky, it adds a lot of structure to the page. And then when you have your more organic type shapes, those give a lot of visual movement and a lot of character to your spreads. And the combination of the two together gives a lot of dimension to what's happening on your spread. And they work so well together. And it's something I definitely talk about a lot anytime I'm sharing any of my tips and techniques. I love the combination of those two things, especially when layering, because it just gives you so much to work with. Going back to what I was saying before, when I layered the oval, in the same way that I would have if there were no floral already attached to that shape, I would have placed my florals where the circle shape meets this square shape. So since there's already florals on here, that's the side that I want facing this square behind it. You absolutely could do that in the other direction. Totally up to you if you prefer that look visually. Nothing wrong with that. For me, I prefer having the floral on top of it because I like that layering of florals in between those two pieces, right where they meet. And so that's why I'm placing it here and you can sort of rotate and alternate that however you'd like. And then also, particularly depending on what icon you're going to be placing next to it, you can sort of scoot this over or scoot it closer to whatever placement works best for you. I'm kind of taking it over because I know that I'm going to place an icon right there. And in doing so, that's going to give me enough room to enjoy having my icon tucked in this corner, to still enjoy the florals, and to still enjoy the cute square shape behind it. And you don't want to cover up any of those edges, because the structure of that square shape behind it that you're seeing, those three corners, so important to really emphasizing the dynamic of these two pieces layered on top of each other. So I've got that there. I'm just going to add a little bit of this foil foliage deco, and I've got this really cute foiled icon, adding a strong punch of foil in this corner here. I'm going to take this foiled foliage and right at a diagonal across from it, and that's going to determine my placement for this, or what I'm choosing to allow to determine my placement for this. And I like that visually. I think the scale on that is off just a bit. This is feeling really large in that space, and I don't care for it. Let me size this down just a bit and see if I like it better. So don't be afraid to try things out and test them out as a planner. One of the best things that ever happened to me was getting some tweezers for my planning. It allows me to hold things out in front of my eye and see how it's going to look when I place it down on the page before I place it there. And then my fingers aren't in the way, sort of blocking it, allowing me to get an idea of how that's going to look when I place it down on the page. Don't be afraid to set something down and lift it back up if it's not working for you. So much of this is really just sort of trial and error and seeing how things are going to fit together. And the more we do that, the more we're having fun and playing around and seeing what's going to make this work. This is still off for me. I'm not liking that. And it totally worked here, where I've got my icon here and then I've got my elements going across from it. Let me see if I can figure out what might look better here, because that's not quite doing it. And I think the biggest difference is the shape of the little foliage leaves and the clusters that I'm working with versus that particular snowflake. And so sometimes from one type of design to another, you may have to sort of adapt and adjust to what you're doing, because it doesn't always work the same way. So let's see. I'll be honest, I feel like a better fit for foliage placement with this spread would actually be to put this cute little leaf right there. Oh God, I like that so much better. So I'm going to place that just right there on top of it, instead of trying to have that go across at that diagonal as I did with this one. So when you're deciding on your placement, play around with it, see what looks best to you visually in your spread, and that will help you determine the best placement for your stickers. Because for me, I feel like there's definitely a couple of different options in placing it either here, going across at a diagonal here, or even coming down to this bottom corner here to place a little bit of a foiled element, and then of course right above where I did end up placing it. So we have lots of options there, and for this spread and with this shape of little foiled cluster image, that ended up being a better placement. With this one, with the snowflakes, that placement worked out totally fine for this. For our next example, we're going to pull in some of the torn paper. And one of my favorite things about Sadie Sticker's latest update is that she's incorporated some of the journaling elements into the main part of her kit. So this is the functional page that comes in the standard 4-page kit. So this isn't even an add-on, which is really amazing to be getting these types of elements. In her standard kit, you not only get some of these torn pages, but you get plenty of the fun brushstroke shapes, and you even get some of the scaled down clip art, which is really cool and awesome to incorporate into your spreads. And so what I want to do here, I'm going to use my washi page to just block off, because I'm going to place this down, and as you can see, this piece is longer than the column itself. And so you've got two options with placement here. You can place this where the tip, where it goes all the way from the tip on one edge to the other, or you could take it where you have the right angle and place that in the corner. And then you'd trim off the this edge, and so you have two right angles. We would then end up with 2 right angles and just 1 torn edge. Whereas if you pull it all the way back, then it comes all the way to the point, and you've got just 1 right angle. So definitely got 2 options there. I'm gonna go ahead and follow the example that I created before. Push this down just a bit because I've got this really cute torn paper with the script on it, and I could see myself wanting to layer some florals and foiled elements right above that. So I just want to push this down just a bit. So I've got this tucked under it to protect the rest of my planner spread because I don't want this sticker sticking down to what I have in the middle column. And I'm just going to take my ruler and craft knife, line this up, and make my cut. And I'm just pressing gently and running my blade over several times. I've been asked, how do I do this without cutting through the page? Gotta tell you, I cut through the page of my planner all the time. So there's no hard and fast rule to getting that right. But it does help if you slow down, use gentle pressure, and just run your blade over it multiple times. You're less likely to just slice right through than trying in one full stroke to press through and cut the sticker. So take your time and run your blade over a couple of times, and you'll have the best opportunity to not cut right through your spread. I've got this very thin piece of floral from the other half of that thin piece of floral, and I feel like this would sit on top of here quite nicely. Look at how cute that is. Oh wow, that looks great. Because I've got these 2 colorful pieces coming together, where I've got the colorful floral plus this colorful torn paper with the print on top, adding a little foil right where those 2 pieces meet is going to cover up the line where those 2 pieces meet. Looks a little bit more seamless, and I feel like it looks a little bit more finished. That's a personal preference. Definitely not necessary. If you like the look of it without the foil detail, you can totally leave that off. But I think that finishes that up, makes it look super polished and really adorable. Go ahead and add an icon here. And this is another element where I can write directly onto the page, just to the side of my icon. I'm not adding a box, but I am pulling in and incorporating some of those fun journaling elements. And it's a great way to shift up what you're doing with throughout the column, so that you've got different things happening as you're going down the column, which makes things really fun and visually dynamic to switch from boxes to writing directly on the page to pulling in journaling elements with torn swatches, brush strokes, and things like that. Really adds a lot to what's going on in your spread, makes it super visually dynamic and fun to look at. The last example from this spread is very similar to what we did previously, where we've got this box here and it's really nothing else layered around it. I just pulled it in and added it to the spread. But since we've already done that with this one, and I've shown you exactly how that works, and again, you can just go ahead and place that on the page, and I pushed it all the way to the edge because we've got that paper clip that's hanging off the side here, and so that's not hanging off in between the columns. It's easiest to just go ahead and run that from one edge to the other, just because of the length of this particular sticker. First of all, I've got to put some sort of header, divider, something between these, because wow, that is just much too much, and it needs some sort of separation. Let's add a cute little header here, tuck a little bit of floral deco right on top of that header. I just think that looks super cute. Finish it off with a cluster, and that section is done. I feel like this is a little bit crooked. I apologize. Sometimes it's hard to determine whether or not things are straight when you're filming, because to film and get this in frame for you guys, I have my planner a little bit further away from me than it would normally be if I were just regularly planning. This would be a little bit further down and closer to my body, making it easier to make sure my lines are straight. So if anything is slightly crooked in this spread, I do apologize for that. But the reason is just because I have my planner a little bit further away from me to make sure it's in frame for the camera. And so then this one we could simply place here, but I kind of want to do something different than what I did in my spread. And let's play around and see what else I can incorporate into this from our fun little journaling sheet here. I gotta tell you, these stamps have been calling my attention this entire time. I just think these look so cool, and I love the idea of the cute little stamp. It's got this full image happening inside of it. Absolutely wouldn't be able to write on this, but I can totally layer this and have it just add a little bit of extra interest to what's going on here. Plus, with all that rich color, it's really going to pop off of, it's really going to help the edge of this pop. You see what I'm saying? Because we've got all that bold color happening behind that. You totally get to see the edge of this torn paper across the top here. Oh, love how that looks. And so we've got the torn paper going across the top and the bottom. It looks fantastic. I'm going to add a cute little flourish here. Let's bring in some foil. Love that so much. And go ahead and pop your icon onto the side here. Grocery bag icon. I'll place right there. And that's a fun way to go ahead and layer that and incorporate that into this spread. I love those stamps. I just think they look so cool, and I love the idea of the stamps when it comes to these journaling sheets. I've seen them in a couple of different ones, a couple of different journaling kits from different shops, and the stamps themselves I just think are really cool. I like them in my sidebar, and I think they look good throughout the column as well. So that was my planning 101 on incorporating journaling shapes into your weekly spreads. I hope that these tips and techniques were really helpful for you all. This may be something where I have to do a part 2 to this, because because not all journaling kits are formatted exactly the same, and I think I may want to come back and do another one utilizing a journaling kit from a different shop, because they're going to have different shapes and techniques and things like that that I can incorporate. And so I may go ahead and do a part 2 to this if I get a chance to, and find another journaling kit that's got some fun shapes that I really like. Personally, I'm a big fan of the one from Sadie Stickers. I think all of the elements in here are a lot of fun to work with, from the torn paper to the stamps to the circles to the ovals. All of it is just so amazing. And so I really hope that this was helpful for you all, and I made this really easy for everyone to follow. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next video. Bye.